everyone. Dr. Andrea here. We are here for our weekly live lesson. If this is your first time seeing me, my name is Dr. Andrea, and I am the founder of the Kingdom Business Leadership Network. And what that is a network of born-again believers, those that love God. And what we do there is we teach you and we help and we work together as a community to help you build your platform, to hear the voice of God, and to walk strongly and boldly in your spiritual gifts. So we do all of that in two areas. We have a mastery membership, and then we also have a free collective group. So if this is, like I said, the first time you're seeing me, you can look in and around this video for more information on how to get connected and the websites and all those different things. So welcome, 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 everyone. Hopefully you all are having a good day. If you're watching this live or if you're watching the replay, make sure you put replay. Make sure you put replay in the chat. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get myself together. This is actually our second live lesson of this week. We usually just do one, but our one from last week was postponed. So I got to get myself back right. So we've been talking about systems and strategy this whole month. So we're just kind of marching down or marching around, however you want to say it. We're marching around systems. And really, when you have systems, it really starts with strategy. So you have to have a strategy. And, I always talk about strategy when we are, let me move my my laptop. I always talk about strategy because it is the foundation for anything that you're doing in your business, or else you're just kind of out there just doing stuff. So I'll wait a few moments for some people to jump on. Hey, everyone that's jumping on while I write this title in so you guys can see it. Okay. So today we're talking about financial systems. We talked hey, Sharice, we gave a good overview in and around just systems in general for your business, why they're important, why you need to have strategy and you need to have systems. So we're going to be talking through financial systems. We're going to be talking through marketing systems, I believe, next week. And what is the last week of what we're going to talk about? I have to pull out my calendar. Let me see if I can grab it. I usually have it right in front of me, but I have been working, so I have stuff everywhere. So we talked about last week why your business needs systems. So we're going to do financial systems this week, marketing systems next week, and then customer service and retention systems. And then in the mastery group, we just had our prophetic live prayer, which was awesome. Thank you guys that were able to join. If you weren't able to join, definitely look at the replay, those in the mastery membership group, so that you guys, we pray for everybody, so that you guys can kind of look at that, avail yourself to that, to see what we prayed. We have a masterclass next week, mastery folks, going through the nuts and the bolts of systems in your business. So we're going to be going a lot deeper than what we're doing in these live lessons. And then we'll have another spiritual-based masterclass, the Spiritual Development Intensive, where we'll talk about momentum and consistency in our business. And actually, we during our prayer session, we talked about a lot of things, but we also talked about not quitting during your quiet years. And it's so interesting. The Lord was just showing me some different things. I was able to pick up audiobook exactly about what we're talking about. So we'll probably, during that consistency momentum session, talk through some of those things to help you stay engaged with your business and not quit and things like that. So that's going to be really, really, really good. So let's just jump on and get started. Sheree says it was awesome talking about prayer. So let's jump on and get started, since we only have about 30 minutes. And I'm going to hold fast to the time. So financial systems, we've spent the last 2 months talking about finances. We've talked about poverty mindset. We started off with that because that's the groundwork. That's the foundation. If your mindset is grounded in poverty, you're going to have issues in business, in life, in relationships, in everything. So we did a whole month on that. If you missed that, that was February. If you're in a collective group or even on this YouTube channel, you can go back and look at the the videos that we have. I'm working on the YouTube, getting all the videos uploaded to there, all the live lessons anyway, uploaded there so that you guys can kind of go through. It's going to take me a few months to get it. But if you're in the Kingdom Business Collective, everything's in there. You can look at the tags, or you can just go through the timeline and see. But it was all in February. We talked about poverty mindset. And then in March, we talked about profitability, pretty much profitability and pricing. So we went deep on how to price your things, how to be profitable. But I'm going to take some of the stuff that we learned there, because we have to know, we're talking about financial systems. So we have to have financial strategy first. So I'll review a little bit of what we talked about, but you can go back. This was live lesson 45 and 46, where we talked about biz budgeting and pricing. Not going to go through everything, but wanted to start off with where we have to start, where you have to have financial goals. So we went through monthly, weekly, daily. So that's whatever you want to make annually, divided by 12 for monthly, or actually divided by 12, your annual revenue divided by 12 to get your monthly goals. Weekly divided by 52, your annual revenue. And daily, you can divide by 260. And that's an arbitrary number because you're not going to work 365 days a year. So 260 is taking out weekends and, general vacations and things. So, and then you have to know what you're trying to accomplish with your business. If you're trying to quit your 9-to-5, or you want to make a specific amount of money to supplement your main business, or you want to create various streams of income, you got to know all these different things. And that's going to help you develop your strategy of how much you need to make, because you need to know your financial goals so you can go backwards, how much you need to make, and then develop products and services that can help you meet those particular goals. So that's all what we went through. And then we talked about the different types. When you create your budget, know your costs, so your expenses, your overhead, and all those different things. And then we gave some pricing strategies, which I'm not going to go over because I just need you to know the parts about creating financial strategy. So we know that your financial strategy is really going to dictate your systems. And we need systems in our business. We talked about why we need systems in our business all last week. Well, Monday this week, if you're watching this live. So the last live lesson, we talked about that. So for those that are watching this after the fact, live lesson 48 is where we talked about that. So today, what I'm going to do is just really go over some foundational financial systems. If you are in the mastery group, we are going to be going a lot deeper than what we're going in this live lesson, because y'all can handle it. So we'll be going, reviewing the strategy, but going a little bit deeper. And you guys will get a handout of all these different systems that I'm mentioning with some more detail as well. So you can pick what you need to have in your business to have a good foundation. And the other side of this, when you're picking systems, you have to pick systems for where you're at and then where you want to go. And that also, actually, if you know about faith, that is actually a corresponding action to your faith. If you're believing God for millions, or even thousands, do you have systems set up in your business that can handle millions or thousands? Some of us don't, because we're not thinking. We're just doing this a super spiritual type of thing where we just say these certain confessions, but we have no plan and really no faith backing it up. It's really presumption. And I've talked about that on my other channel, God Still Heals, or other platform, God Still Heals. But you can, and sometimes it's foolishness. There's faith, there's foolishness, and there's presumption. And a lot of times I see good meaning Christian folk that are operating in foolishness and presumption because they're saying things, but they have no plan to back it up. They have no good plan, I should say, actual plan to back it up. You say you're going to be a billionaire. Are you really called to be a billionaire? I personally do not believe everybody in this earth is called to be a billionaire. And why? Because we can look, in less than 1%, less than 1% of America, people in the world, not just Americans, are billionaires. Okay. And sometimes the math doesn't even add up. For you to actually earn $1 billion, you would have had to been a millionaire, a multimillionaire, while you were still in your 20s or even early 30s. So if you just think about it logically, how's this going to work? And yes, God can work a miracle, but let's be real. Lord, what am I called to bring in? Am I called to just bring in thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions? I think millions is a decent number for individuals to strive to in your business. Because if you do your business long enough and you have a good foundation, a solid foundation, and you're consistent and you have momentum and you have a good product, you have a market, eventually you will make millions, right? If you stay at it. But you have individuals, and I'm on this tangent now. You have individuals, because it is a soapbox for me, that are saying they want to reach these high levels of wealth, yet what's the plan? Did God give you the plan yet? Is he just going to give you mailbox money? What we doing? So saying all that to say, it's these systems. If we are setting ourselves up for growth, or we're setting ourselves up for what we're believing God for, let's put the systems in place. So when God wants to give us, we have favor, but when our expectancy meets and the timing and the season of what we need, and we're ready for it, that God will be able to pour it out on us. So some of the foundational things for financial systems: number one, bookkeeping. I mean, if you're making $100, not even $100, if you're making $2, you need to have some type of bookkeeping system. Why? Because you're going to have expenses, whether you're making money or whether you're not making money, you're going to have expenses. Because when you start a business from the day one, you have expenses. I mean, your licensing fees, you generally have to be licensed in the state to perform business, and that costs something. And here in the state of Florida, that's through our sunbiz.org. And it's for an LLC, it's $150, right? And it's various prices for different things. So from the jump, if you're registered, some of us are just doing DBAs and sole proprietorships, but even a DBA costs like $60. So there's going to be expenses starting off, and people don't realize that unless you're doing a true hustle, which we don't want you to do. We want you to be a full-fledged business, right? So definitely have some type of bookkeeping system so you know your numbers. And I've talked about over and over again, make sure you get a business bank account. You want to separate your personal expenses from your business expenses. I know sometimes for some of you guys, you're like, I'm not doing that, but you need to do it. If you consider yourself a bona fide business and you want to operate in excellence, get a business bank account. I mean, it's not difficult. You have to get an EIN number. Well, you don't even have to get an EIN, and they prefer you to have an EIN number for you to open up a business account, but it's not like rocket science. It's not the most difficult thing in the world. At minimum, have a personal account that you dedicate to business. And then while you're in the interim in getting the business account, do that. But the biggest thing is separating out finances. Even if you have to fund, because you're like, I'm not making any money, so I'm spending my own money anyway, that's fine. It's like that for sometimes 1, 2, 3 years of starting in business. But at least you can fund that particular account so you know what's going in and what's coming out. So you know your numbers and they're not integrated with your regular expenses. And that brings me to some of the systems that you have. And I am a QuickBooks proponent. If you are a person that is a freelancer, solo entrepreneur, well, not all, but you can be a solo entrepreneur, or I say solopreneur, but I'm really looking for the word when you are not an LLC. You are pretty much a freelancer. You're just doing everything under your social security number, pretty much is what it is. There's QuickBooks Self-Employed, which is like $10 a month, where what it does is you're able to link all your accounts, your business accounts if you have them, or just your personal accounts. And if you're still just using your personal account, you are able to tag what's what. And it gives you reporting. It helps you to pay your taxes when it comes to your business taxes. If you have any, if you didn't take a loss, even if you did take a loss, you can still do reporting through that function. So I would encourage anybody and everybody to get at minimum that, so that you can at least have some type of reporting feature. There's other things for small business owners. When I say small, it's less than 100 employees, which most people consider small. FreshBooks is another one. QuickBooks, from what I've seen and what I know, because I have QuickBooks, they don't have the greatest customer service, but to me, it's set up innate, so you can pretty much figure it out yourself. So you don't really need a lot of customer service. FreshBooks, they say, has the best. FreshBooks is similar to QuickBooks. There's something else called Zoho Books that you can use, or you can just hire a bookkeeper. And generally, the bookkeeper will tell you what software they use. Most bookkeepers that I've dealt with and CPAs, they all use QuickBooks because it's like the industry standard. So, but just keep in mind, that's your foundational financial system. If you don't have that, you have to ask yourself, are you really being serious about what you're doing? Because you're not organized. So if you even brought somebody into your business to look at things, if you need a CPA, let's say you made $50, $100, $200,000 in a year, you have to have books, right? You have to have books. And if you don't, it's like, what are you doing? You know, you have a great product or service, obviously, because people are buying it because you made that much money. But isn't it better to start off in having this and then build and grow? Because otherwise, you're going to look around and you're not going to be able to pay your quarterly taxes, because when you're making that much money, you need to be able to pay the quarterly taxes. You're going to, by default, because you didn't know what your quarterly taxes were, by default, you're going to have to pay them at the end of the year. And, 21% or more on your revenues, that could be a lot. On $100,000, that's what, 20 something $1,000 that you're gonna have to pay in one lump sum or get on a payment plan. And you don't necessarily want to have to go that route. You want to start off well, divide $20,000 divided by 4 quarters. That's like $5,000 a quarter. That's more manageable. $5,000 divided by 3 months, each month you would only pay like $1,000, $1,200 something dollars, which is more doable when you're bringing in, $10,000 or whatever it is to make about $10,000, a little bit less than $10,000 a month. You can spare $1,000 to taxes. So that's why I say there needs to be a strategy. You don't want to get caught, because a lot of people, the tax man gonna shut them down, okay? Because you didn't do your due diligence and what you need to have. So that is so very important. So that's why I call it foundational. The next financial system that you'll need to have is financial reporting. And this actually goes with the bookkeeping, because most of those bookkeeping softwares have a reporting feature. So I say financial reporting and review. And what I'm going to talk about are the things that you need to review. You need to review your P&L statement, which is your profit and loss statement, which looks at the amount of money coming in versus the amount of money going out. And if you are in the negatives or if you are in the positives. So that's something that you need to have and look at. Now, these bookkeeping softwares will do that for you. I don't necessarily want you on Excel spreadsheets, because you can start that way, but that gets old really fast and it's manual and you can make mistakes. So it's better to have the software to do it. So, and that's investing in yourself and investing in your business. And like I said, it's not expensive. So it's easy to get. So it will give you a profit and loss statement based on the bookkeeping records that you put into it. It'll give you an expense statement. It'll show you all your expenses, because it's pulling from your bank account, right? It's pulling the gas receipts. It's pulling this. It's pulling that. It's pulling all the stuff that you need to do some expenses. You can see, like, man, I spent a lot of money on different, whatever. And you need to review these things at least monthly. Cash flow statement. This is extremely important depending on how your business is set up. If you are invoicing people and depending on the terms of your invoice, if your terms are kind of wacky. When I had my healthcare business, our terms were crazy. We paid people weekly, but we didn't get paid every 2 weeks. And if it was a business B2B, so if it was a company, it could be 30, 60, 90-day terms based on the contract, because we were in a franchise. So we didn't necessarily negotiate our contracts. So they were set. So some of those contracts were like 90 days. And we had a government contract with the Veterans Administration, and them jokers will pay you when they want to pay you. I mean, it's crazy. We wouldn't get paid. We would get paid like after 3 to 6 months sometimes, just because working with the government, especially the VA, can be just stressful at times, just because of the way they're set up. It can be bad. So that will affect your cash flow if you're depending on that money that you're getting from your customers to pay people, to pay your bills, to pay whatever. So that's why a cash flow statement is essential, because you can in a QuickBooks, I'm using QuickBooks, you can see you can put the people that the invoices through there, and you can see who owes you and who hasn't paid you, right? And you can see what your cash is actually looking like, and actually look at your expenses and the bills that are coming out and see if, do I need to add money in because I'm not going to make it, because I don't have, I'm not leveraged well, so I don't have the money to actually cover my bills or payroll or whatever. So there's a lot, and I'll talk about some of the things you can do if that does happen, because that happened to us. So we had to do some things, and it's not fun. But that's why a cash flow statement is extremely important. And if you want to up level in your business, you need to know how much money you got, right? So, of course, financial reporting and review, a budget, which is your working document. I'm not going to go over that because we talked about that ad nauseum. And then here's one that most people don't talk about when you are in the first, 1 to 3 years of business. So as a solo entrepreneur, is payroll management. And payroll management is just not full employees, W-2 employees. It's also 1099 employees, which are your contractors, which many of you all are dealing with, many of you all are working with, right? So contractors in your business need to get a 1099 form at the end of the year. And that 1099 form needs to say how much money you paid them, pretty much. And it's a real thing. It's not hard, but you have to do that. So you have to have good reporting systems, like how much did you pay these people, right? So payroll management. When I was doing our home health agency, because I was operations, I was the payroll manager, right? And payroll is something serious, right? When you have employees. So I had a payroll management system. We use ADP, which is pretty much the premier payroll management system, and it's expensive. But because we were with a franchise, we had to use that. We didn't have a choice, but I'm going to give you some other options. They're a lot less. So I would say this needs to be part of your setup if because you're going to have contractors. Now, if you're using things like Fiverr and some of those Upwork, maybe Upwork, you might have to do a 1099, but if you're using those types of systems, it's more of a product-based thing. So we don't necessarily issue 1099s because we're going through Fiverr. Now, Fiverr is probably going to issue a 1099, but it's like it's set up a little bit different. So that when you're looking at that, that's kind of looked at by the government as just like you're buying a product from Fiverr. So it's kind of weird how that's set up. But if you literally hire somebody, like I'm hiring this person to write blog posts for me, to produce this for me. So I'm paying this person a certain amount of money on a regular basis. I hired this VA to work 10 hours a month. So you'd have to issue them a W-9, of course. And they'd fill that out, and you would use that when you're doing your 1099. You had to issue them that. So that's basic. But what I'm talking about, payroll management, these systems will do this for you, or they'll at least have it set up that you can input what you need to input. So I talked to you about is something called Run by ADP. That's for businesses less than 49 employees. That's almost $200 a month. So that's on the higher end. But I have some other options that are on the lower end. Remember, Mastery, folks, I'm going to put this in a document for you guys so you don't have to feel like you got to write really fast. Paychex, Paychex, is another payroll software, and that one's about $60 a month. Plus, per employee, you have to pay like $4. And that's like customary of all these systems. You have a baseline fee, and then there's more money you have to pay. So definitely check each one of these out. Here's another one called OnPay, which was rated one of the best. And that's $36 plus $4 an employee. And what's nice about that one, it includes your HR system, HRIS, which I told you all about. That's Human Resource Information System. It includes that in there. So if you want to post a job, if you want to get the information for people that you're hiring, like application information, it'll all be in that one system. So that's kind of neat. Now, Mastery folks, I'm going to go through an assortment of HRIS systems. So because I personally that's great that it does it, but I personally would want a separate system because they're more robust and they're actually not as expensive as what you might think, especially when you're hiring different people, contractors, employees, whatever. So, and then you have QuickBooks. QuickBooks has a payroll system, and it's actually pretty good. It's pretty cheap. It's $22 a month, $22.50 plus $4 per employee. So, can you invest $26 to have a payroll system that can grow with you, right? So that makes sense to get that. So my votes are on OnPay and then QuickBooks Payroll, especially if you already have a QuickBooks system set up. Now with QuickBooks Self-Employed, I don't think they offer that payroll feature, but the regular QuickBooks, I'm sure does. Or you can just get QuickBooks Payroll on its own without having, the other bookkeeping QuickBooks. There's another one called Patriot Payroll, which is only $10 a month, but it's very, very simple and very, 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 very simple. So it might not be something you want to use, but if you're on a budget, and then it's $4 per employee. And then the last one I'm going to mention is called Payroll for Free. And it is a free service that you can run your 1099s, your W-2s, and all that through. The only thing with that, you have to pay if you want them to help you with the taxes. Like if you want to calculate your taxes, that's $15 a month. And it's only if you have less than 25 employees. So there's no excuse. I presented from free to the most expensive options when it comes to this. So surely something is going to be helpful for you. So if you're not in the mastery group, you guys will have to just go and replay, pause, and try to write some of those things down that I said so you guys can check it out on your own. So we talked about bookkeeping systems. We talked about financial reporting systems, even payroll in there. So now let's talk about taxes, which I know people don't like to talk about, but we're business people, we're business owners. So taxes is a real thing. Because if you don't pay them, government is going to get their money in America anyway. They're going to get the money one way or the other. They're going to get it. So the best thing when we're talking about systems and everything today is financial systems, we need to know what tax we owe. And these bookkeeping and even these financial reporting systems, they're going to calculate them for you. It's just not smart to do this on your own unless you're an accountant or a CPA. But even then, your time can be better spent in doing that instead of doing it by hand on your own. So I talked about quarterly taxes earlier, but this will help you pay your payroll taxes, which are a thing, right? Payroll taxes. When we had our healthcare company, I used to say payroll taxes of the devil. Okay. Hated it. Right. But yes, they're payroll taxes that you got to pay. If you give your employees insurance, you got to pay part of their insurance. There's a lot of stuff, right? So but I'm just talking about taxes. So you got payroll taxes, you got workman's comp, which you have to do separately, set that account up through your state. Right. Some of y'all didn't realize that unless you have all 1099s, but if you have a full W-2 employee, I say W-2 employee because they fill out a W-2. If you have a full W-2 employee, you're going to have to pay payroll taxes and workman's comp taxes to the government. And workman's comp, at least in Florida, is not expensive. It's actually pretty cheap. That's like the cheapest bill that we had. Payroll taxes are more expensive, right? But you're charging those taxes, obviously, to the because with payroll taxes, it's the money that, if you're an employee, the money that comes out. But that money that comes out, the business has to pay it to the government, right? So yes, that part, all that money goes to the government, and the business's responsibility of sending it to the government within the payroll taxes, because you're taking it, so you need to send it. So, and the last thing, part of your financial systems, you need to be having a quarterly to annual meeting with your CPA. And I also said that with your bookkeeper, you need to be meeting with them. I don't think it's the best to meet with your CPA once a year, if you can help it, because he can help you on the front end and setting yourself up so you don't have to pay so many taxes. Now, the other part of that, if you feel like you're not making enough money for the CPA, or you're filing on your taxes as a single member LLC, meaning that's just like a sole proprietor. That's the word I was looking for. I kept saying solopreneur, sole proprietor, right? And you're filing what they call a Schedule C. You might not need a CPA for that because you can actually do that through any tax software. So, but you have to have your numbers. So you can do that through TurboTax or however you file. Like we file through TurboTax, and we do Schedule C's. Now, when you're making over $100,000, over six figures, you're not going to want to do a Schedule C at all. You're going to want to file as what is it? Not S or C corporation. You don't want to file like that, but you have to talk to your CPA which one will be better for you, because there's a bunch of things with the taxes that we don't have time. I'm not a tax professional, so I know it because I've been through it, but I'm not going to talk about it on this platform because I want you to talk to a person or even do your own research as why when you're making a certain amount of money, you need to file your taxes differently, not with a Schedule C, but actually file as LLC. LLC filing as S or C corp. And don't ask me which one, because I know which one works and why, but I'm not your tax professional, so you need to talk to them or do your own research because this is online as well. So, but the purpose is you need to be set up so you're like, okay, when I hit this amount of money, that's a trigger for me to go and see a CPA. Like when I hit $50,000, when I know I'm getting ready to hit 100, that's a trigger for me to go see a CPA because I'm gonna need to change some things because I don't want to pay a bunch of money in taxes. And that's real. And so many people don't do that, and they end up giving all their money in taxes, especially since they didn't make that change. And the government essentially is like taxing all their money away, right? So that's why when you see business owners, taxes is such a huge thing where they're trying to get leverage, where they're trying to get they're not called discounts, but they're trying to get I forgot what it's called, where they write-offs. That's what it's called, write-offs. All of that. So the next thing, when we're talking about foundational financial systems, and I know this material is kind of dense, but this is part of being a business person. You have to know this stuff. If you're a real one, if you just around here getting your business by only Cash App, not taking receipts and all types of stuff, you hustling, right? And that's not good either. So financial leverage. So when you're a business owner and when you make it, I believe you should start off with some leverage because you're going to have to spend money. So when I say financial leverage, that's stuff like credit. I'm not against credit. I believe in leverage because you'll need some type of leverage, but you need to do it smartly, meaning that you have resources and you have money that you can utilize if you need to make a calculated decision in purchasing something for your business that is going to help you up level and is going to bring in money. That's why I say it's calculated. So those are things like business credit card, having a line of credit. I have on here factoring, which is pretty much borrowing against your invoices. That's not advised. Sometimes you have to do that if you get yourself in a certain type of way, and that has to do with cash flow and things like that. But, I want to tell you about it because it's a real thing. Have access to business or personal loan if you need it. Even a home equity loan. People help fund pieces of their business with taking out home equity loan because it's money that they can use. But the key to all these things, having all these things as options and having all these things accessible to you, is that you have to have good credit. You have to have a decent credit score. So as a business owner, that's something that you need to be working on. Whatever you can do to do that, if it means getting another job or doing something so you can pay off the loans or whatever you have, the debt that you have, so you can raise your credit score, do it. Because credit is such a huge deal when it just in living, so you don't pay extra interest and all these things for what you need. So that is financial leverage. I have to talk about that because that's going to be when you go up and making money, that's going to be a thing. Even when you're not making any money, when you're just starting, that can be a thing, right? You just have to be smart about it. Now, other things that really are contingent on your particular business are things like inventory tracking. So if you have inventory that you keep, maybe you have a boutique or something like that, you should have some type of inventory tracking software. For me, with my product side, I have Shopify and they track inventory, but there's some other ones. I'm not going to go deep into it with you guys. I will have some more information, mastery folks, on it, but Inflow on premise is one. And then Zoho inventory is another one. So depending on how your business is set up in regards to inventory, you might need an inventory tracking or management system. And then finally, if you are a coach, things like Dubsado or Honeybook are essential for you. And what that is that it tracks and automates your invoicing. I know these other systems do invoicing, but Dubsado and Honeybook, they will, once you put a client in there, it will literally automatically send them emails and invoicing and just different things that will save you a lot of time. Because sometimes, especially when you're doing things like service providing as like a coach or even any type of freelance type work, you're going to be sending the same invoices. You'll send a proposal, then you might send a follow-up, so there's a sequence that you go through with every client, right? And Dubsado and Honeybook will help you organize that so that it will send automatically. So you won't have to keep writing the same emails and the same this, and it will invoice automatically as well. So those two are unique in that depending on the type of business that you have to do some more research, obviously, but depending on the type of business that you have, that could actually help in addition to some of these other financial softwares. Yeah, Cherie says user sales tax, business taxes. Yeah, so that's on the product side. I'm usually doing digital stuff, but that's on the physical product. So there's a lot. Because I even forgot about the sales tax when it comes to your physical products. Because actually, depending on the software you use, it will charge a sales tax in there to the person, but you still got to pay it to the government. Okay, that's the thing. It'll take it and it'll set it up, but you need to pay it. Right. So that is that part that we need to be reminded of. So hopefully you got something out of that. Like I said, it was a lot of information, but what I told you today, that will save your life when it comes to business, because there's so many people that don't know this basic stuff. I know because I had to go through it, right? And am going through it. But on a higher level with our healthcare business, because, we were 6 figures plus multiple years in that business. So we had to do all of that plus, right? And bumped our heads. And, we had help because we had a franchise. We were under a franchise. So they helped us. But baby, it was definitely a growth curve for us. So I want to be able to tell you guys things from experience and so you won't have to go through some of those things as well. We always know with any of these things, you need to do your own research, do your own discovery. I told you about some things. Go and look them up if that fits what you might need, and see if it's something, to add that to what I call your tool stack and the things that you need to run your business. So like I said, next week we are going over marketing systems, and there's a lot, so we're not going to hit everything. We'll hit the foundational stuff, but we're not going to necessarily hit everything. So like I said, hopefully you got something out of that. If this is your first time seeing me, click the link in and around this video so you can get more content. Join our free Facebook group, the Kingdom Business Collective, so that you're able to see content like this on a regular basis and be part of a community. If you want to learn more about our mastery group, where we go deeper, it's a paid membership where we go deeper, and we have master classes, and we go deeper than what we do. Like I'm not a deep person, but I'm a person that, because I teach, so I don't necessarily hold all the way back on these. We kind of go kind of deep on these, but we go really deep in that group. So there's a link where you can check that out, and some of the things, there's courses in there. There's a bunch of stuff that we do. So definitely love you guys, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. And let me get my outro ready. So I'll see you guys next week, and you have a great one. Bye.